The day I said, God, is it how we go? We're in the cold, inside the cold that even your hand glove you are wearing will block because of cold. There was nowhere to enter. What I was thinking next that should I have a shovel to dig ground and I'll put myself so that this cold will not hurt me much. I said, I didn't plan for this. How did I put myself through this situation that I wish I know I wouldn't have continued and back on the journey. The person that even made me to pass through the road, she was a female because she traveled before me. When she not passed through the road, I said, if Vina can pass, I made that is a guy, I can pass through. So it was she that gave me that hope that so if a female can cross the so-called Mediterranean Sea and not hit the road. But then my son was 9 months at that time. I left both of them when I was leaving. I didn't tell her I was traveling because I knew if I should tell her, she would discourage me not to go. She was so curious, asking my younger sisters, where is her husband?
After the arrival of their son, John Ajebo left the youngster with his mother and tried to sneak into Europe through the notorious Libya route, but he met a stiff opposition on his way. He would soon regret his actions as the challenges he faced in the desert made it difficult for him to reach the desired promised land. Instead of calling his wife to inform her of his imminent arrival to Europe, it was an unpleasant call and a subsequent return to Nigeria following his deportation from the North African country that greeted his expected sojourn. Welcome to another exciting episode of a migration story series on Legit TV. My name is Damilare Okola.
When I came back, I was working with a private company, as a maintenance officer in a residential building in Agbo. When I came back from Libya, when I came back for the journey.
Were you living in Libya before?
Yeah, I was living in Libya. Traveled year 2017 to Libya. So after the deportation, I was formerly staying in Lagos before I traveled out. I stayed in Lagos for 12 years before I traveled down to Libya. Then, which is 2017, which I traveled there before deportation, and I came back to Agbo, which is my hometown here. So when I came back then, I was just doing a manual jobs, like go to site where they build, to work as a helper. Before then, and I started working with Chinese company. So from Chinese, it was then that connected me to this place because they came to work in this area from Chinese, and I joined this federal government work, which is railway, where I am now.
Having stayed in Lagos for 12 years, what prompted you to move to Libya?
Yes, what actually happened then in Lagos, because I work in so many organizations in Lagos, what happened was through in terms of reception, when there was a reception period that year. Reception. So things was high. I was into financial institution then. I was a marketer in Lagos. So the financial sector was shaking. There was no business moving. So I said, because if I continue with that, I won't be able to meet up. As then, my son was 9 months at that time. I said, no, I have to leave to Libya, hoping to cross to Europe country.
Which country?
I wanted to enter Italy.
You have friends there?
In Italy? Yeah, I don't have friends. So what they told us that when we get to the Mediterranean Sea, there will be a rescue boat that will take us to Italy. There will be this mother care, which is they say they will rescue us, they will house us, put us in a camp. So that was what people told us, even our bloggers, who they call connection men that brought people to Libya.
Did you travel with your son?
No, and then he was with my wife. He was 9 months that time, the year.
So So you left your wife and the boy here?
Yes, I left both of them when I was leaving. My wife was still in Lagos. We were in Lagos, living in Lagos then.
And she knew you were going to?
I didn't tell her. I didn't tell her I was traveling because I knew if I should tell her, she would discourage me not to go. So it was when I left, she was so curious, asking my younger sisters, where is her husband? So I told her not to tell her that I'm not in town, that I've traveled. So it was when I got to Libya, because when we were in prison, there was no way you can make call. So it was when UN, this United Nations, or ION, they have these people that from Tunisia. They send them down to our deportation camp in Libya. So that day was my son's birthday, which April. They gave everybody phone to call your people because they're about to deport us. That was when I called my wife that I'll be coming. I'm in Libya.
You called her, what did she say? What was the first thing she said?
She said, I do not try that. How could I have done that? I do not even inform her that I'm having such a plan. I only told her in Lagos when I was leaving that I'll be going to other states because of Lagos. Things have changed, business have changed. She now wished me well. That I didn't tell her that I would be traveling out of the country. That she felt bad that, why did I do that? I told her that if I should tell her, she won't allow me to go.
How long were you away from your family?
6 months.
6 months?
6 months.
So is it safe to say that you wanted to travel abroad so that when you get there, you'll be able to surprise your wife, call her and tell her that you're now in a better place? And then...
Yes, that was my plan. So that was my plan, that as soon as I reached Libya and I was able to cross to Europe, then I'll call that I've crossed, God have done it. But fortunately, they raided our deportation camp, our camp in, we call it ghetto. So the day they raided, it was like a war. So the plan, the dream do not work as I planned.
Did you get to go on the boat, Lapa Lapa? Did you get to go on it, or you could not make it down?
It was the next morning that supposed to travel, supposed to call it cross, supposed to cross to Lapa Lampa. It was because there was people that first of all crossed 5 a.m. They left camp to seaside, which is the place where we cross. So supposed to cross the next day. It was that day they came to Bogo, our ghetto, where we stay. They took all of us to the deportation camp in Tripoli there.
So do you still have plans to go to Europe, maybe Italy? Because
yeah, I have plans to go, but not by land again, not by desert.
You still want to go to Europe?
Yeah, if I want to go, I have plan. If I want to go, I will go in a good way. Not that.
That's what I'm saying. But you still want to go to Europe in any case?
Yes.
Okay. Since you returned to Nigeria, what you've been doing, you don't think is enough for you to stay in Nigeria? Maybe Europe is better than.
It's not that Europe is better. Like as I said, what I'm doing now, I guess, is encouraging. It's okay, but oftentimes there's no one. Europe is quite different from here. I still want to go because if I have the money, I could go for leave. I could go there for vacation. So that is all.
When you go back, what did your wife tell you? I mean, what were the things she told you?
She was very angry that I could have passed through that kind of place, that I know how horrible desert is. I told her that people have been crossing. I felt maybe I know I have the luck, I could go. She said, if I wish something happened to me, I wish I died in the desert, in the sea. What would I have said? I would have left she and my son alone. I would have left them. There would have been some she don't know how she would have bear the whole thing, the pains and the loss. I told her, thank God have brought me back safely.
Okay, so since you returned, did you still encourage people who want to go through that route to Europe to do the same?
To me, since I've returned, if sometimes I do hear people say that they are still crossing, they've opened their agades. I said, all those people, if they knew that this fire they're about to put their leg will burn them, they will not go. I keep telling, I could say, even if I do not see those people who is making plans to go to desert, through land to travel, I would tell them, please, my brother, if anyone can hear me through the air, don't go, because it's not a good place to travel to. It's not a place whereby one could encourage his friend to go, because on the road, even when we're in the desert, people that traveled, I see how some people who died because of starvation, water. There was a lot that happened in the desert. So if I see that kind of what we went through, I wouldn't want to even encourage my worst enemy to go.
When you were in the desert on your way to Libya, what were the things on your mind? What were you thinking?
What I was thinking, initially when we left Agadez, we were like, the healers that took us were like 32 on the healers. My legs were like as if I was tied with a rope, because you cannot stretch a leg. I said, God, I didn't plan for this. Is it what I really want? That is because what they told us, that you just enter healers, it will take you to where you cross. So I said, how could we make it? Was the day I said, God, is it how we go? We're in a cold, inside the cold, that even your hand glove you are wearing will block because of cold. There was nowhere to enter. What I was thinking next, that should I have a shovel to dig ground and I'll put myself so that this cold will not hurt me much. I said, I didn't plan for this. How did I put myself through this situation? That I wish I know I wouldn't have gotten and back on the journey.
So you wanted to bury yourself alive?
Not really buried. I said, because of the cold, I wish I could have something to dig, because it's a sandy place, a very place everywhere it's sand. I could open the sand and pull myself in sand so that the cold will not be much warm. Yes.
So it was that bad?
The cold was bad. The hand glove I was wearing was like God block, as if it's something they put inside cold room or fridge.
When you were in prison, were you thinking about your wife and son? What were the things you were thinking?
Yeah, I was really missing them. I was really thinking about my son, both of them. Even I know he was still little. He was 9 months when I left. I say, how could he be feeling now? Because I know I always be the one to carry them down when it was. Because even my wife, she's not that type that used to carry a child. I will carry him, we'll be playing. Even when he's feeling hot, I'll bring him outside. I will be playing with him. I say, oh, I stayed my wife to do all this now, and my son is still little. I remember the day I was supposed to live there in Lagos, when I was trying to say bye-bye to them. He started crying. And I remember that his tears. I almost cried then the desert, that midnight when the cold was so heavy. I almost cried, and I hold my tears back.
Thank God you came back and you met your wife and so on. What if you had not met them? What would have happened?
Yes, I would have been happy. I would have been happy with myself that I got through that journey. You know, I know quite that over there I was still praying for God to protect them and also protect me. That's on that journey.
Can you tell us about your academics? Did you go to school for long, or you just stopped?
I know when I was in Lagos, actually, I took in. I was running a part-time program in the LASU. So because of still on that reception, I was on my third year, almost like final year before the session start. I was studying marketing there. So I was on my almost on my final year before the session start, before I traveled, because the business was not working well.
You know people who have gone to Libya and have crossed to Italy or Europe from there. Do you talk to them? What do they tell you?
The person that even made me to pass through the road, she was a female, because she traveled before me. When she not passed through the road, I say, if Vina can pass, me that is a guy, I can pass. So it was she that gave me that hope that so if a female can cross the so-called Mediterranean Sea, she crossed the road, she passed through the land, through desert. So when she was going, it was she that gave us the contact of the connection guy that brought them to Libya, which his name is Lucky. He helped us, and I said if she can go. When I called her, she said, but it's not easy, that she's not, I shouldn't go, but it's not easy. I said, inside me, I say, you don't need to go because you want to make it, don't want to make it. That's what I concluded, and I hit the road.
So when you hit the road, you saw everything she was saying?
I saw everything she was saying, that it was true. Then when I called her, when I was in Libya, my sister called her. She said, I wish I would have called her first before embarking on this journey, that the journey is not easy. I was saying myself that if Vina does not need to make it, since she have made it, she wants to go alone and enjoy Europe. So it was when I got to the journey in the middle. But even when I was at Saba, which is the worst place, we call it Tranquet. If they Tranquet you there, it's better than there. When I was in Tranquet, I said, Vina actually told me that not to go. So that was why I was regretting that. I wish I would have followed what she said.
So you regret traveling by road?
Yeah, I regret traveling by road. Of course, I regret that. No, I won't. I won't go through the road again if I want to travel.
What if a connection or a burger says, or somebody who works in connection house says, this one is very sure, we'll fix things for you, and we used to go by road?
I won't go. I won't go by road. Anything that I want by going to desert Agades, I won't go. Even if there's a mansion there, I will go there, I will pick a mansion. I won't.
Finally, how much did you pay to move from Lagos to Libya? How much did you pay?
Everything I spent was close to 800,000. Yes, everything I spent.
Because you wanted to get to Europe?
Yes.
But you didn't even still get to Europe? Yep. If you have that money, that amount, now what will you do with it? If you have it now, what will you do with
it? If I have it now, like, I'm an MC and also a DJ, so I used to open a DJ shop and also a camera shop because I'm into entertainment.